Professor Patrick Dasgupta is professor at Department of Physics and Astrophysics in Delhi University. After receiving the National Science Talent Search Scholarship in 1976, Patrick Dasgupta joined BITS Pilani to do a 5-year integrated M.Sc Physics. In 1981, he took admission in the PhD program at IISc Bengaluru, but left for Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, Mumbai in 1982 as a research scholar in the theoretical astrophysics group. Soon after submitting his PhD thesis in 1988, he joined IUCAA Pune as a postdoctoral fellow. During 1989 and 90, he had short stints at the University of Wales, Cardiff as a senior research fellow to learn about gravitational wave data analysis techniques, as well as at the Observatoire de Paris Meudon to have an exposure to the topic of gravitational radiation from Halsey-Taylor binary pulsar. He joined the Department of Physics and Astrophysics, University of Delhi in 1993 and has been a full professor since 2004. His current research interests include studies related to confirmation of Hawking area theorem from the observed gravitational waves from binary black holes, proposing a unified model for gamma-ray bursts and fast radio bursts, modeling dark energy, torsion and Chern-Simons gravity using a dynamical four-form mechanism to generate supermassive black holes from Bose-Einstein condensation of bosonic dark matter and baryogenesis from primordial black holes.
Audience, we have very known Professor Patrick Dasgupta with us. His introduction has already been shown to you. So we will start with the main question here. And here comes the first question. Prof, please let us know like how difficult or easy your academic life would have been if AI was there at your time. Plus, what is your take on Chat GPT, Claude and Gemini? Like, are these a boon to the society or they are making things difficult?
Very good question, Aryan. Right. So, obviously, if these AI tools were available when I was a young student, my life would have been very easy. But is that what we want? Yes. Any problem that was assigned to us as homework, we would have very easily solved those problems and handed over our tasks to the teachers next day. But that would have been not so useful in the long run. The reason is that we would not have exercised our own brain to solve those challenging problems. We would have just outsourced our job to the AI tools. And that would have made our brain not learn how to tackle challenging tasks. Our brain would have been left lazy. But we all know from various research work by neuroscientists that the brain is such a wonderful organ that more you subject the brain to learning new tasks, solving new puzzles, take up challenges, more the connections between neurons develop. And as the interneuronal connections increase, the thinking capacity, thinking out of box, solving challenging puzzles, making new contributions and creative contributions in one's field, that keeps on getting enhanced. And hence, in the long run, outsourcing challenging work to AI systems is not a good thing for human being, because we all know that environments keep changing. There are catastrophical changes that time to time come, and unless our mind and body, they are agile, we would not be able to face those challenges. And the whole idea of Darwin's theory of natural selection tells us that only those who survive, who are able to adapt to the changing um, environment. So, the bottom line is yes, it would have been very easy for me to sort of cross the thresholds of various uh, exams, uh, tests, etc., when I was in a young student using the AI tools. But the moment you give an exam to me where AI tools are not available, then I would flunk because my brain has not been trained to solve unseen and challenging problems. So every new tool is like a double-edged sword, and therefore we have to keep sharpening both the edges of the sword.
Yeah, absolutely spot on, sir. Nowadays, also, when I go to my office and work there, I find that a lot of people are too much reliant on AI. They don't think their brains, and they're completely just thinking about the AI. So, however, I would like to know your experience of your colleges like BITS Pilani, TIFR Mumbai, and University of Cardiff at Wales. Which one was the best one, and how would you rate each one of them?
A very good question, Aryan, once again. Right. So, all the three institutions, they came to me at different stages of my life. And all the three played very, very important roles when I was growing up. So, I entered BITS Pilani at the age of 17. I was fresh from the small city Puri, which boasts of a beautiful beach and Lord Jagannath's temple, and it has a very laid back culture. But the moment I took admission in BITS Pilani, it was a cultural shock to me because I suddenly encountered very bright students from all over the country who are extremely competitive, and they came from, many of them came from very big cities, very sophisticated schools, Delhi, Bombay, and they had smart demeanor, they could speak very well. And therefore, I suddenly realized that, oh God, I have had a very laid back existence so far. I must now gear up and I must try to learn different stuff. And I concentrated on sort of learning how to solve puzzle type problems very fast. I started also taking very many interests in languages and other aspects like uh, history, art. BITS Pilani had a wonderful library, and I could sort of learn different aspects of um creative world, including my main interests, namely physics and mathematics. So, as a learning platform for a young student, BITS Pilani was extremely good. Some of the teachers were excellent, particularly in the field of mathematics. We had wonderful professors. In the field of physics, in my first 2 years, there were wonderful professors, but slowly they started moving out of BITS Pilani due to whatever several
Hmm.
reasons. But nevertheless, the whole syllabus, whole system that was uh, sort of introduced when BITS in its formative years had a close collaboration with MIT. So the course structure, the educational system, it had imbibed from MIT in Massachusetts, And therefore, that system played a very important role in the growth of a young student like me. But then after that, when I first had 1 year stint in IISc Bangalore, and then eventually I left IISc Bangalore, and in 1982 I moved to TIFR Mumbai as a PhD student. Both of these institutions, it suddenly sort of opened up completely new horizon for me, because I encountered extremely gifted and bright scientists both in IISc Bengaluru and TIFR Mumbai. The kind of gifted and extremely talented scientists I had never earlier encountered before. And then the whole culture, that attending technical seminars every week, attending colloquia on different topics like physics, mathematics, molecular biology, they showed what does creativity in science mean, what does learning, whatever you have learned in your master's level, but going beyond, giving a completely new, innovative stuff, how to do that. That training is what I received in TIFR Bombay. And in particular, when I used to go for technical seminars in my first year, 90% of the seminar content I won't understand. And I used to get very frustrated. I said, what the hell? When I was in BITS Pilani, I could do 90% of physics problems so efficiently. And here I am. I thought myself to be so good in physics and mathematics. Here I am. I'm not able to understand 90% of technical stuff. Am I cut out to be a physicist? Then slowly, elders, they told that, oh, this is something that happens to everyone.
Hmm.
You just give time to your brain. As you keep on learning and going to the library, studying the references, the neuronal connections automatically grow. And after 2 or 3 months, you'll find that you're able to understand more than 70% of the technical stuff. And that's what happened. And I met not only bright scientists who were faculties in TIFR, but my contemporaries themselves. They were very bright physicists like Professor Samir Mathur, who has been doing incredible work in string theory and information loss from black holes. Professor Gautam Mandal, Professor Tanmay Bhattacharya, they were extremely bright people. And I sort of, by interacting with uh, these individuals, I myself learned a lot of stuff. And, so when you're in an organization like Tata Institute of Fundamental Research and IISc Bangalore, your peers who are brilliant individuals themselves, by interacting with your peers, your brain sort of start advancing at a furious rate. So, a great academic environment is very important, and TIFR and IISc Bangalore provided that. Then came the other uh, opening up of a completely exciting window, namely my experience as a postdoc in University of Cardiff and University and Observatoire du Paris in Meudon near Paris. And they themselves opened up a different kind of window which showed how scientists in Western world they work in a different style. They try to finish up challenging problems very fast because they work with many young PhD students, with young postdoctoral fellows, and they meet them regularly. So I'll give you an example. When I joined Professor Bernard Schutz, a great general relativist as well as astrophysicist, when I joined him as a postdoc, so he told us that you come to tomorrow's meeting at 10 o'clock in the seminar room. So we all assembled, and he said he listed several research papers that he has gone through, and he summarized each of the research paper. And then he said that, one can do something new in this field. And he would assign that problem to one of the PhD student. And he will summarize another research paper. He say that, okay, there's another thing that can be done. He assigned it to another PhD student. Then he came to us postdoctoral students and said that, why don't you take up the following problem? Instead of one LIGO-like big, long, very long arm LIGO-like detector, gravitational wave detector, what if I have many smaller LIGO-like detectors, and what would be the comparative advantages if you have many small LIGO-like detectors compared to one big LIGO-like detectors? So why don't you work it out? So after the office hours, I came back to the house where Professor Satyaprakash and I were staying, and I spent 4 hours in the evening, and I did calculation. I found out what are the advantages and disadvantages, and next day I went to Professor Schutz and showed my calculations. So first of all, he just said, "Oh, I didn't realize that you will tackle this problem so soon." Then he went through all my calculations and he said, "Oh, this is wonderful. This certainly throws a great deal of light on the problem that I had given, but more can be done in this way." But the way he sort of appreciated and I suddenly realized, my God, appreciation from an eminent scientist acts like such a moral boosting uh, theme and such an incentive that you feel like working hard and doing good job. And I saw how many people work together in his group, which I had not seen earlier in TIFR or IISc Bangalore, where mainly the supervisor and the PhD student, they would interact and do the work. This kind of a group effort and outlining different problems, they basically help in efficiently solving so many different problems quickly. And that's the reason in Western world, different challenging problems get solved very fast. While in India, because this kind of system is not there, solving problems is a slow process.
Right.
So the three different institutions gave me three different but spectacular windows, and each played very important role in my growth. So I don't want to compare them because they acted as different kind of, you know, rockets for my launch, and they all played their own individual roles, and they were very important at different stages of my life.
Hmm. Excellent, sir. As you told that you went to different institutions and that though you had to do all the things by yourself to get into the limelight of the institutions. However, the next question is, today youth has n number of options to pursue careers in their alternate ways. There are many institutions like IITs, BITS Pilani, and even Ivy League providing programs which are in collaboration with some company. Okay, so what do you think? This is a distraction for youth or it is a benefit for them?
No, no, it's certainly a benefit because once you, as an intern, when you go to a different institution, so perhaps you would not have seen a different milieu of work when you are a student in IIT or BITS Pilani or any other Ivy League organization. But when you go as an intern to another institution, you suddenly see that the kind of problems they tackle are different problems. They are not textbook level problem or a research paper level problem. They are problems which are connected with the practical day-to-day life in cities or day-to-day problems of the country as a whole. So therefore, you suddenly encounter a new kind of setup, and how this organization, some of them may be corporate sectors, some of them can be very advanced level research laboratory like uh, DRDOs and other CSIR laboratories, or Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, who are working on aircraft designs, or ISRO, who are looking at satellites, communications, rocket launch systems. Then you suddenly realize that the kind of problems they are dealing with are hardcore practical problems. They are not exam related questions or research paper related questions. And therefore, they completely take you to a very exciting but a different avenue. And as I have been saying, that more you let your brain expose to different kind of very, very organized and uh, uh, creative, as well as systems that are coherent, your mind learns new techniques, it learns new skills. And that's the reason all these internships are very important, because they act as providing you a challenging new environment where you can learn new stuff, so that later on, when you yourself become a an young professional, you yourself will be able to guide younger students, you yourself be able to sort of take up new problems, invent your own groups, and tackle practical problems. So, therefore, at every stage, we must not only think that we are solving problems, we must also take it as a learning experience
Hmm.
and try to find out new kind of techniques which can solve your existing problem.
Right. So, sir, that was great. Now, my next question would be, while growing up, who was your idol? Isaac Newton, Albert Einstein, Nikola Tesla, or someone else of your choice? Like whom you used to admire and get motivated from?
Correct. Right. So, the obviously, when one is young, so when I was in school, for example, I got interested in physics because our physics teacher would say that anyone who can solve the physics problems, those days there used to be a problem book, the author's name was Dr. Gulati, said anyone who can solve all these problems, their brains must be very good. So he used to throw as a challenge. So then we were doing challenging problems from Gulati's problem books in physics, then several challenging problems from mathematics books, and so. And that time, there were two science magazines for young students. One was Science Today, the other was Science Reporter. And I used to also read them in my school days. And once I read about Einstein's relativity and twin paradox, and I
Okay.
was so captivated, although I didn't understand why time dilation takes place, why length contraction takes place, but article told us about it. And immediately I got fascinated by Einstein's work. And Einstein became my role model. I still remember, in spite of the fact that I didn't understand the nitty-gritty of special theory of relativity, or what is the resolution of twin paradox, I actually read up some articles on relativity, and in our school, Kendra Vidyalaya Puri, every day this we thought for the day, where a student in the assembly line before the after the prayers are
Yes.
over would say something for 5 minutes or 10 minutes about something that the student has learned. I actually talked about special theory of relativity.
Okay.
And it went, uh, my principal could not understand because he was not a man of science. And so, but the physics teachers appreciated it. So clearly, Einstein was my idol to begin with. Then, when I went to BITS Pilani, then I started reading special relativity. I understood. I spent hours on trying to get into the resolution of twin paradox. And so Einstein was my, in my formative years, he was my idol. Then later on when I went to research world, I encountered Dirac's work. And I found, my God, Paul Adrien Maurice Dirac, how he would pick up new physics results from giving a mathematical argument. That completely left me gasping for breath, because till I entered BITS Pilani, till I entered IISc Bangalore or TIFR, I used to solve problem with physical intuition. But then, when in IISc, I started taking interest in magnetic monopoles, which Dirac's theory of magnetic monopole, I was simply astounded by Dirac's style of working, where you take a beautiful piece of mathematical result and pluck very fantastic fruits of physics from thin air. That was the magic. So, um, Einstein, Dirac, then later on Heisenberg, Feynman, Schrodinger, they became the idols. Uh, and then later on, when I sort of took hardcore astrophysics, Chandrasekhar, Subramanian Chandrasekhar, Indian origin, one of the great astrophysicists, they became my role models.
Okay. Great journey, sir. You mentioned a lot of scientists throughout the conversation. So it was great. Now I will ask a very relevant question in today's day and age. How you see the future of physics when physics is losing limelight compared to AI? And how you think about the professors and teachers, like because of the AI thing, they need to prepare more and they need to be alert a lot of times, because student will go to the AI and ask the question and then ask the same question and check teacher. So how you think this scenario is there in the world now, and what is the solution for this for teachers?
A very wonderful question you have put forward, and it's very relevant currently. So, yes, uh, the teachers, particularly in schools and undergraduate colleges, they themselves have to learn AI tools, and particularly because the whole purpose of school education and college education, they are to broaden the outlook of students, where the students, because you know, just like a gymnast, when you're young and if you're interested in gymnastics, you can't outsource gymnastic to AI system. You have to yourself first train yourself. Your body must be flexible. Body must learn how to fall properly so that you don't get injured. And this kind of things you can learn only when you're young, and then you can learn sophisticated techniques in gymnastic like somersaulting in air, uh, and all the very risky stuff. An adult like me, I can't suddenly decide today that I want to be a gymnast. Similarly, young student, when they are young, the mind is extremely receptive. It can do mental gymnastics very fast. And it is very important that when you're young, you learn new mental gymnastics skills. Because at my age, it is very difficult for me to learn new abstract mathematical skills that pure mathematicians are inventing, because the brain at a particular um, era of one's stage, it doesn't is not no longer that efficient, and that is the reason school education and early college education is very important. That basically prepares your brain to be very, very active. And if you look at why Western world and now China, they are moving ahead leaps and bounds, it is because they realize the importance of early training, school training and undergraduate training. That early training, school education, undergraduate education must be very, very good, and lot of effort must be put in. And that is the reason, you're right, teachers have to sort of, you know, burn their midnight lamps to learn more stuff. But as I said, yes, learning is important because learning new stuff should not be thought of as a bane on one's life. Learning
Right.
should be taken as an enjoyment. You should
Right.
say that, yes, I'm learning new stuff. And similarly, uh, the students must therefore also not only learn AI technique, but they should also know that, well, given the AI technique, can I do something better? Can I invent my own AI tools?
Right.
Instead of just being passive
Hmm.
receptor of AI benefits, one
Hmm.
must go beyond and say, can I invent some more AI tools?
Right.
And then say that, okay, there are so many different challenging problems in physics, challenging problems in mathematics. Recently, I was talking to very bright mathematicians in a conference in Bangalore, and they told me that AI has been proving very interesting theorems in mathematics which had not been proved earlier. So AI has made very important contribution to pure and abstract mathematics. So far, no big significant problem has been solved in physics through AI tools, but
Right.
perhaps it would soon happen. And that is the reason why students these days, they must, it's not that they should completely rely on AI. They must themselves learn how to do challenging problem solving in physics. Yes, let them learn AI tools because, as far as placement is concerned, as far as employment is concerned, all bosses of different organization, they are basically seeking individuals who have training in using AI tools. So yes, AI tools are here, whether we like it or not. But instead of saying that I will outsource all my problems to AI, I would suggest learn AI tools. Yes, use
Hmm.
AI tools to solve some of your, menial problem. Like if you have to make a lengthy report and you don't have time, you can use AI to do that. But the nitty gritty, hardcore problem solving, that one must do oneself by exercising one's own gray cells in the brain, and also try to see whether I can improve the existing AI tools to give a better AI,
Right.
and those are the things which are important, and this will, in the long run, help for young people to build their own startups and do their own problem solving, which startups in other countries have failed to do, because India itself has different problems to solve. And if our startups to do out of box thinking and use their knowledge of AI, engineering, management, physics, sciences, and together and use their own innovative tools to solve problems of India, that would be wonderful.
Right. So it was a great answer that it is very important to learn the things continuously, as we cannot be stagnant on a similar tech stack or skills. Sir, before closing this off, we have a bonus question which we ask from every guest there. Actually, a lot of youth nowadays is very inclined towards Nalanda, right? They always say, what can be done to take our eminent institutions to the level they were used to be when there was Nalanda, Vikramshilla, Odantapuri, and such institutions used to exist. So, what is your take on this advancement? Like, can we reach that point again, or it is a still road long? How you see that?
Wonderful question. Yeah. So, yes, Nalanda, Takshshila, Vikramshila, they were great universities during that time. And the reason is that post Gautam Buddha, I always tell that Gautam Buddha was the first scientific philosopher of the entire world because his uh, philosophy was based on actual observation. So he would say that there is suffering. He was not pulling out of his brain a new thing. He saw suffering. He experienced suffering. I said, first axiom is there is suffering. They said all sufferings are due to desires, which is again true. We suffer because we desire something, but we don't get it and we suffer. Then he said that if you want to end your suffering, you have to control your desire. So Gautam Buddha, his theory were based on not just figment of imagination, but he would see the world and give the solutions. And with this philosophy, it encouraged that we must transmit knowledge to large number of people. And that's the reason why Nalanda at its time became a premier university where several monks would study not only Buddha's teachings, but all the Upanishadic teaching, Rig Veda, Satapatha Brahmana, Vedantic teachings. They will go through all this debate. Debating was very, very important because Buddhism encouraged debating. Not Buddha himself said that don't believe in what I am saying, verify it yourself. And these things led to a questioning environment, and Nalanda exploded as a knowledge organization. People from different parts of the world, particularly China, flocked to India to see this knowledge explosion. And then professors from Nalanda, like Kumar Jeeva and all, they were invited to set up knowledge system in China. So Kumar Jiva went to China and spent the rest of his time talking about how to develop a knowledge-based system. So you see, the bottom line to make Nalanda or Vikramshila or some of the great universities in Bengal like Navadvipa, if you want to make them once upon great, you have to create a an organization where you take talented people who are by themselves gifted and questioning individual. They're all the time seeking new knowledge by challenging old knowledge. And but remember, before you challenge a knowledge system, you have to know the knowledge system. Okay. So people who already know the Upanishadic teaching, the Vedantic teaching, the Buddhist teaching, the Jaina teaching, the Charvaka teaching, the old school of philosophy, Nyaya philosophy, Samkhya philosophy, which talks about Prakriti and Purush, Mimamsa philosophy. Nyaya deals with the logical system that developed in India. So all these learning and how to integrate the classical India-based knowledge with the modern knowledge. It has to be integrated. You can't say that I would only deal with this and I will say that I will not learn new techniques.
Right.
So integrate with the modern development,
Hmm.
and that's when you can make Nalanda, once again very famous, Vikramshilla to be another active area, the University of Navadvip, once again famous. So, in other words, as you know, one of the great philosophers of all time, uh, who was there during the Satvana dynasty in the Andhras, Nagarjuna, he was a Buddhist, and Nagarjuna's Sunyata philosophy, uh, it has many things which sort of uh, you
Right,
know
right.
uh, has harmonic relation with basic principles of quantum mechanics.
Hmm.
And so Nagarjuna school of thought, and trying to make research how to integrate Nagarjuna's thought on philosophical aspects related to quantum mechanics, all this should be integrated and take people as faculty who not only have mastered all these, but they have the questioning abilities to challenge them and go beyond
Right,
using the modern tools, using the modern laws of physics, and using the AI techniques themselves.
right. So this is the way forward, and it was great having you, sir. It was our first episode after a very long time. Had stopped the podcasts in 2021 and resuming it now. So thank you so much for being the first guest on the
And
show.
my pleasure, Aryan. So this is
And
great, and you are doing a very wonderful, uh, you know, uh, you're taking up a wonderful enterprise because our young people, they are the strength of the country. The entire future belongs to the young people,
right,
and once the young people are guided in a proper way, so that they can take the challenges of the modern world, we will be left behind. It's very important for India that we encourage the raw energy of the youth, the huge mental talent of the youth, and guide them properly. So this is
right.
wonderful. You are doing a wonderful job, Aryan.
Yeah, it's just a small effort to bring awareness amongst the youth. And the thing is that we have depended on AI so much that we are not thinking ourselves. So the agenda of my platform is that think yourself before relying on AI. So this is the
Yes.
theme line, and it was great having you here, sir. So
Thank you.